So the next company presenting here today will be Ultimovacs, and with us on link we have the Carlos CEO, Carlos de Sousa, the CEO of Ultimovacs. I'll leave the word to you, Carlos.
Thanks, Linus. Good afternoon, everybody. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce you to Ultimovacs. Ultimovacs is a company listed in the Oslo Stock Exchange, now part of Euronext. So I need to show you the slide. So Ultimovacs is a company operating in the space of immuno-oncology with a cancer vaccine approach. We're developing universal cancer vaccines that are applicable to all stages of cancer, including having the potential for the prevention of cancer. Our lead compound, UV1, is an off-the-shelf product, meaning is ready to be administered, is easy to manufacture and to administer, and was designed to enable the immune system to identify and kill cancer cells in combination with other treatments like checkpoint inhibitors or other classes. We have quite a broad and ambitious development plan. We are already in phase 2. We have completed 3 phase 1 trials and another one finishing enrollment. And I will tell a little bit of details about this program. And we also have already initiated 2 phase 2 trials and the third one to be initiated beginning of 2021. These trials are conducted in multiple indications and combined will enroll more than 400 patients. As I mentioned, we are listed in the Oslo Stock Exchange. The IPO was in June 2019. We also recently have a significantly oversubscribed private placement at no discount of 160 million Norwegian krone. And we just announced our Q3 results, and our cash position is for 153 million Norwegian krone, what gives us quite a nice runway. We have multiple collaborations with international cancer institutions and large pharmaceutical companies. In one of these new phase 2 studies, we have a collaboration with Oslo University Hospital Network and Bristol Myers Squibb. And we also have entered a new collaboration with the European Cancer Network and the still undisclosed large pharmaceutical company that we expect to communicate during this quarter. As a company, we consistently pursue new opportunities with other organizations to maximize the product potential and expand the usage and benefits for cancer patients. So what is our target for our treatment? We target telomerase. Telomerase is an enzyme that is present in the majority of cancer cells, but not in adult normal cells. And telomerase, basically, if you see the picture of a chromosomes, the telomeres protect the extremes of the chromosomes. In the normal cells, as the cells divide, the telomeres disappear and the cells die. In the cancer cells, these telomeres are replenished and basically give immortality to these cancer cells. So very important for the survival of the cancer cells and for its spread, but also because it's present in 85 to 90% of cancer cells, it's a very good target. And what we do basically is train the immune system to recognize cells that are expressing this telomerase, cancer cells, and then destroy these cancer cells in combination with other treatments. And because the cancer cells will express this telomerase from the early stages to the late stages of the disease and also in the primary tumor, in the metastasis, is a very good target for the treatment and the combinations. As I mentioned, we have a very well-established technology to produce the product. Is off the shelf, is a standard peptide synthesis, has already 3-year shelf life and only needs to be refrigerated, and to administer just needs to be reconstituted with water. So it's a lower cost of goods compared with the other immunotherapies, and we already initiated the development of a commercial scale process in preparation for the phase 3. So if I can summarize the key benefits of our approach, is UV1 is directed towards the hTERT or human telomerase, which is expressed in 85 to 90% of all cancer indications. It's applicable and usable in the general population without need to do any pre-screening. Our peptides activate the CD4 helper T lymphocytes that are immune cells very important in the immune response and also responsible also for the immune memory. As I mentioned, easy manufacture, has a long shelf life, low cost unit, and is easy to clinical use. Is an intradermal injection, so no complex infrastructure or techniques required to inject the product. As I mentioned, we have a broad and ambitious development pipeline. You see there the first 3 trials are already completed and in follow-up already for 5 years in prostate cancer, non-small cell lung cancer, and metastatic malignant melanoma. We have the 4th phase 1 in combination with pembrolizumab Keytruda that was completed in August this year. The Initium study and the NIPU study already started enrolling patients in June. The 3rd phase 2 study, we will give more details during this quarter. And we also have a second platform that is very innovative and really with a great potential. And I will tell you also a little bit about the first phase 1 study of the product coming out from this platform. So you see here just briefly the 5-year results of the first phase 1 studies. We just recently announced the 5-year survival in the malignant non-small cell lung cancer. This was a mono, just a vaccine, and after 5 years, 33% of the patients were still alive. Of course, this study was done before the checkpoint inhibitors, and if you look at historical data, patients treated with chemotherapy that were the patients enrolled in the study will at 5 years, would less than 5% of these patients will be alive. So a small study, but already with quite good data in terms of efficacy, and also all these studies have shown a very good safety profile. The 4th phase 1 study is running in the US. We closed enrollment in August, and we also had recently the first overall survival after 12 months in the first cohort of patients. So 85% of the patients were still alive after 12 months. And the median progression-free survival is not yet reached, meaning that more than 50% of the patients have not progressed. As historical comparison, we look at a study with pembrolizumab, Keytruda, the Keynote study, where after 12 months, 68% of the patients were still alive, and more than 50% of the patients have progressed at 11.6 months. So again, a small study, but already with quite good data. And we expect to continue to follow up these patients. In the phase 2 studies, the first study is Initium. This is a randomized study. So really the first study where we will be having 2 comparative arms, one with nivolumab and ipilimumab, that is a standard of care in malignant melanoma, and another arm where to the standard of care we add UV1. The study will be running in 40 sites in Norway, Belgium, the UK, and the USA, 154 patients in total. We have already enrolled 12 patients, and we expect the top-line results second half of 2022. The second study, NIPU study, is also randomized phase 2 trial in second-line malignant pleural mesothelioma. The study is sponsored by the Oslo University Hospital Network in collaboration with the Bristol Myers Squibb. So we will be providing UV1 to these patients, and Bristol Myers Squibb will be providing nivolumab and ipilimumab. 118 patients in 6 sites in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Spain, and Australia. We have enrolled so far 6 patients, and we also expect to get the top-line results in the second half of 2022. The third trial, phase 2, that we will be communicating, giving more details during this quarter, it's in a different indication with different classes of drugs in combination, and also collaboration with the European network and a different large pharma company. Tandem is the first study coming out of our second platform that is a very innovative and really first-in-class technology. And this first phase trial will be testing the safety and immune activation. And basically, if we confirm the safety of this first product coming out of the TET technology, and we are conducting further preclinical trials and developing the product. The ambition is then to identify different cancer vaccine candidates to move into clinical development. This technology has not only a potential to be used in oncology vaccines, but also in infectious diseases vaccines. As I mentioned, we raised in the IPO and in a private placement, and now we have, at the end of Q3, 453 million Norwegian kroner that will fund fully the phase 2 program, so it gives us a runway towards 2023. Our major shareholders are very long-term and very solid. We have Fidelity, the Norwegian Pension Fund, the Cancer Hospital, Oslo Cancer Hospital Fund, and different very big family investment funds that have been with the company for a long time, and they have also long-term perspective. Very, very solid position to be. In terms of news flow, we expect to communicate the details on the third phase 2 study now during this quarter, and the first patient first half next year. We are also going to have soon the 5-year survival in the malignant melanoma phase 1 trial, the first patient enrolled in the TENDU study, all this in the Q1, and then of course during the rest of the year follow-up results for these studies. So in summary, UV1 and TET are universal cancer vaccines, broadly applicable in different cancer types and in different therapeutic combinations. We have a very good safety profile and early positive signals of clinical efficacy. We have a broad phase 2 development program, 3 trials with more than 400 patients, a validation of our science through the collaboration with large pharma companies and oncology specialist groups, a strong shareholder base, good cash position with funding through the readout of the phase 2 primary endpoints, an experienced team, and multiple near-term milestones and news flow. And with this, I want to thank for your attention and now available for Q&A.
Thank you for that presentation, Carlos. I would like to start off with a question. Is the concept of a cancer vaccine new, and how is it different from a viral vaccine in how it stimulates the immune system?
Well, the concept of cancer vaccine is not new, but in the past, the approaches were, in an earlier phase and really not, using the technology that we have these days. I think the key differentiation for our vaccine is that the peptides are the result of previous clinical trials or more than 1,000 patients with an earlier version of this type of vaccine. So these peptides are identified as key peptides to give this universal concept. The fact that it is off the shelf and is easy to administer as intradermal injections and doesn't need to do any pre-screening is a clear benefits and the differentiation to the oncolytic vaccines. As you know, the oncolytic viral vaccines are normally target to a specific tumor. Also, a majority of them require intratumoral injection, and you have a more targeted activity. So, both approaches have, of course, a room in the treatment of cancer patients that will require as many options as possible. But we believe, quite a very differentiated approach because our target, meaning that all these majority of the cancer tumors will express these cancer cells would express telomerase. So we have a very broad field in terms of activity in different cancer tumors, and also the potential to go really very early in the prophylaxis of cancer.
What does the competitive landscape look like for UV1?
I think when you look at the different approaches, other vaccines with neoantigens, the oncolytic virus, cell therapies, I think the The big differentiation again is the fact that we are a lower cost to manufacture compared with some of the other approaches. We don't need to do intradermal injection. We do intradermal injection. So easy to administer and low cost to produce. And really the university of the approach. When you look at other companies working in telomerase, we are the ones in further advanced, and a lot of these other approaches that were using different peptides have not really been progressing much. As a matter of fact, some of them have stopped. So we have quite a good, unique positioning in this very, very complex landscape of immune primers, particularly with the cancer vaccine.
Would you consider the TET program to be a game changer?
The TET technology is a big game changer. Because most of the vaccines, when you inject a vaccine, you need to inject with an adjuvant. We use GM-CSF, that is the most common adjuvant. And the adjuvant is needed to kind of stimulate the normal immune system and recruit immune cells to the site of the injection. The TET platform combines the adjuvant and the peptides in a single molecule, so as a much more competitive and a simpler approach to inject, but also because we expect a better safety, as doesn't use GM-CSF or other adjuvants, to really expand the potential not only to be used in different types of cancer, but to really go very early, and of course in the future to have the possibility of being a truly prophylactic vaccine.
Thank you very much for your time, Carlos.
Thanks, Linus.